Hello, and welcome to the weekly reading. And I must say, I feel like this reading is so in touch with all that is potentially coming this week for us. It is also Venus has just stationed retrograde. So we have 40 days and 40 nights of really delving deeply into all things Venusian, and looking to the Leo area of your chart for those who know their chart fairly well would be a great idea. This is an oil I've been using a lot lately, I must say. It's a touch roller, and it is really powerful for all sorts of irritations and skin things, which have been certainly showing up in my life. And it has a very calming kind of aroma as well, very earthy and herbaceous. I'm also using some selenite in honor of the moon. She will be going into her first quarter phase. And my one, that's a little charm trinket for the moon as well from my daughter. And then a beautiful Orange River quartz, that doesn't want to come into focus, which is, oh, come on. There we go, which is such a powerful crystal for me and just can be used in any occasion. So pick a number between 1 and 4, and remember that the big focuses this week will be the Venus retrograde's first sort of week in retrograde and the first quarter moon, and Mercury changes sign at the end of the week from Leo to Virgo, but not before he does a conjunction, which means he and Venus retrograde meet up at the same degree point, 28 degrees Leo. So if you have strong 28 degrees Leo, I would definitely be looking at that area of your chart, or the other fixed signs of Taurus, Scorpio, and Aquarius. So choose a number between 1 and 4, and let's jump in. Here's the big picture, and you may immediately notice that one suit is completely dominating this reading. The Pentacle suit is definitely overpowering, and we have one beautiful major arcana card, which interestingly is the card that associates to Libra, who is ruled by Venus. So Venus coming through strongly in the big kind of archetypal picture here. So if we start with the first card, it's the Four of Pentacles, and we go on a bit of a Pentacles journey. We go from 4 to Page and then to 9 at the end of the reading. And everything is upright this week. Pentacles are about materializing and embodying. And so I really feel like somatic work, any kind of body practices, embodiment practices, are going to be super, super powerful right now. And in actual fact, I kind of feel like this week's card reading is an absolute nod to those who have been sort of listening to the guidance and the call and the herald's message and doing the work, because this reading kind of says, hey, you've been doing the work. So Four of Pentacles, I think we had this come up not so long ago in its reverse position, which is a more kind of stingy, miserly, clinging to things, and if you hold on too tight with your closed fist, you're not open to receiving. But in the upright form, first of all, she is looking forward. And notice how she and the card next to her, the Page of Pentacles, have a very similar sort of facial expression. Both heads turned towards the future, both eyes closed, and sort of sensing and feeling the way forward rather than allowing the obvious thing to be true. I think this is extremely important for where we are in the collective right now, which is in an unknown realm, in unknown territory. We can feel things are changing. We know we are reevaluating life on just about every level we possibly could be reevaluating on, but we have no idea what the new life looks like. So instead of trying to see it, and all we really can base that on is past experience, which is not what it could possibly be at this point, we just need to close our eyes, tune in, keep our hearts open. Now, she is holding her purse at her solar plexus and heart, and it is kind of like I have the resources that I need, which can be monetary for sure, because it's Pentacles always comes up with money things, but also whatever resources I need. And when this is upright, it also can be a great nod to supporting others where they need it. So whether that is something, a service that you offer, and you support somebody who needs it at that moment, even whether they can pay you for it or not, it is about giving back. And again, trusting, tuning into the heart, tuning into the gut, and going, this is what feels right for me in this moment. It may not always make sense. It may not have been the way that I would have done it in the past, or I have been conditioned to do it in the past, but I know that I need to pay it forward. And fours are kind of like a building block energy. It's a sort of solid material step or block to build forward, to take the next step. So leading that into the Page of Pentacles, and pages are like heralds. They bring messages. They also tend to be messages of new beginnings. And again, because we are saying it is an earthy element, it is the new build, the new earth, the new way forward in a concrete form, which I think we're all really, really ready for some concretizing of this new earth, because it's been so ethereal and cerebral and confusing, and we haven't been able to see it as a structure as yet. And this week, which I really do feel has a lot to do with the Venus retrograde, is kind of saying, but just look at where you can see the structures that are changing in your life. The actual foundations of things in your life are shifting, and take a moment to check in with how much has actually changed. And I like to sometimes have this analogy of when I'm feeling completely overwhelmed, like nothing is moving forward, like nothing is shifting, like there's so much more to do, to get, to gain. I just stop and breathe, and I physically turn around. Again, this is like taking it into the body. I physically turn around and imagine myself looking at the path I've walked to now. And I go, wow, look how much I've done. Look how far I've come. And it's a physical turnaround. And I think that's the key for this week. Let things be physical. Feel that actual, even if it's symbolically turning around. Of course, you can't see your whole life path behind you by literally turning around. But the symbolism of it and the embodied awareness of that symbol is very powerful. So when you're feeling overwhelmed, maybe try to do that this week, but also start to be grateful for where you can see the changes, start to recognize them. And I always love this Page of Pentacles. I've said it many times before, because it's balancing on one leg. It's like, sometimes I have to rebalance, which is so interesting, bringing us into the Justice card, which is literally the scales of justice, and requiring that sort of balancing to not tip the scales too far in either direction and bring them out of balance. And so again, as the Four was looking to the Page, as the Page is heralding some new beginning, looking towards finding her balance there as she looks towards the Justice card. And also notice how she is holding that big, beautiful pentacle right at her heart. Open your heart, which this Venus retrograde is in Leo, and Leo is the sign that rules the heart. So if we come from this heart space and we are doing our own work, it's an inside job. You do you to the best of your ability, and that's how you change the world. So then we look at the Page looking at Justice card, and she too has her eyes closed, the top eyes, the mirror image. And we have had this card before in, sorry, I'm not touching the right card, in reverse. And you can see she would be looking at us. But I like that we've got it the right way up this week. And it just seems like all of the things up to this point are saying, listen without your eyes, tune in without your eyes, feel your new balance, your new rhythm, your new alignment, because there is a new sheriff in town and justice is not what it used to be. So what does that feel for you? And you need to tune into, when do you feel you are in alignment with truth and order and justice within yourself? That is the most important thing, especially if you're coming from a place of honesty and authenticity, not a place of denial and disillusionment, which is much easier said than done, and something that we obviously need to work pretty hard on. And that again takes us back to every day being accountable, every day checking in, every day being open and honest enough with yourself to own your shadow and own bad behaviors. Don't judge yourself for them, Justice. Just allow yourself to own them, and then decide how to rebalance, realign those scales of justice. And our last card, one of my favorites, is the Nine of Pentacles. And I say this every time this card comes up as well, but all the elements are represented in this card. I work very strongly and closely with the elements in many different formats. And for me, that is one thing that I do love, when the cards show up all the elements, because that for me is showing that we are now really resourced. And I love how here she's saying, I've got what's in my purse. I've got the resources I need. I'm going to be willing to share and give what I can where I can. I'm going to trust that I know what that is. And by the time we get to the end, it's like there's an abundance of resources. She is in a white dress, so it's more peace and the dove of peace. There is this winged messenger, and again with Mercury conjuncting Venus, Mercury the winged messenger, and Mercury changing signs, and Mercury moving into one of his favorite signs, his own home sign, which is Virgo. And this Page of Pentacles has a very Virgoic feel. So we have this real promise of really concretizing and building and solidifying and embodying these lessons that have been in progress and in process for quite some time. This feels like an accelerated portal of us being able to bring them to fruition, because this Nine of Pentacles is, I'm almost there. I'm almost at that fruition point, the end of this particular journey. There would be the 10 after this card, and then that would bounce us into the page. So it's a really important time for us to kind of, I actually feel like, even though this is such a building week, it's like pause and observe what it is that has already changed and what the next thing is. Because if we fall into our default settings of how society has us conditioned, it really takes us out of the direction that we're supposed to be treading now, which is kind of mind-blowing, certainly for me, because every time I know that I feel like, okay, I'm in alignment with the way things are moving, then I feel like I'm out of alignment with everything I've ever known, which is confusing and conflicting and polarizing. And this is again where you have to just stop, breathe, check in, tune in, open your heart, listen to your gut, and move in the way that feels sovereign and self-centered, in the way that you are doing you first. Remember, that's Leo. Leo is self-centered, not in a bad way. It's like the sun is self-centered and the sun rules Leo. It's a way that says, I cannot change anyone else. I cannot be responsible or accountable for anyone else, but I can be fully, consciously responsible, accountable, sovereign, authentic for me and within me. And that seems to be a big, big theme. And then embodying that. Make it feel visceral. Make it a somatic practice. Let your nervous system down regulate to the point that it goes, I can feel this in my body. So I hope that has been helpful. I'm sending you so much love and light for the week ahead and for the 40 days and 40 nights of Venus retrograde. Remember, I'm available for so many different types of readings, whatever kind of works for you. I like to meet people where they're at and work from the space that they are best able to assimilate, integrate, and embody. Thanks for your time.